So, your grandmama dying from AIDS, right? Do you try to protect yourself and your family from the things that happened in the past?
Yeah. I think when it comes to my daughters, specifically, like, for me, I'm single, but like me and her mother have a great, co-parent relationship, and we always be trying to make sure we build on that and work at that. There's definitely things I as a dad, I want to improve on and want to get better at. And clearly we work towards that, and our relationship is great, but it's like we want to work on making sure everything is tight, A1, and that's my dog. But like when it comes to kind of that upbringing, when it kind of, I don't know, when it comes to play and when it comes to affecting me and shit, I think a lot of that a lot of that definitely plays into how I try to be as a parent, because I was like overexposed to so much shit at a young age. Like, I try to be as protective as I can with my daughter, like, while still letting her have her freedoms. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm not a very like I'm not a parent who's like gonna be not giving my daughter space. Like, I let her go out here in her neighborhood with her friends and play and shit like that. And I check on her, and there's things like that. But I let her go outside and do her thing and play. But I also be like very cautious, because I'm like, it's a lot of fucking weirdos. Like, the people we ran into, the people we interacted with, the people we were. It's like, I don't want you to run into niggas who was like me at all. You know what I'm saying? We was doing a lot of like silly, goofy shit, a lot of inappropriate shit at a very young age. So it's like, I think that always sits in my mind when it comes to my child. Like, I don't want her to have to experience that. And I know she's gonna experience some shit for sure, but like, she don't really know that. She don't really know that side for real. Like, she be living her life. She have fun. She do her ballet shit. Like, as far as gymnastics, she love dancing, doing all that shit, have a great time. She's a happy kid, happy child. But like, and then when she get old enough, then I'll explain more of that to her when she can understand that a little bit more. But it's like, you know, um, you don't want no kids to have to carry that, deal with all of that shit. Like, that's, I feel like even at that time, that's why it's hard to kind of process. Because when I think back, when I'm talking about a lot of this shit, like, you see, like, it be a lot of situations where it's like, damn, I guess that's a fucked up thing. Like, that is a fucked up situation, or that right there. And it's like, you process everything at once. It's like, man, that shit is a lot. You feel me? But when it's over time and like you growing up, you able to process it a little bit different, a little bit more. Like, the meaning of things change. You get what I'm saying? Like, it just changes. So, um, death is always be hard. But I feel like sometimes, like with my grandma, it's like, damn, I know you were sick, but like, I would have loved for you to be here just so you could be a grandma to your grandkid. Like, your dying wish was to like, on your deathbed, was to meet me. Like, and it's so fucked up because my cousin actually showed up. My little cousin, we the same age. He showed up and she thought it was me, and they were like, "No, it's not him." But that was like her literal dying wish, and I'm like, that shit is crazy to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So even hearing that, like, my grandma, that's the only thing she wanted to do on her deathbed was to meet her grandson. And yeah, that should be just tough. So I think it always has an impact when it comes to trying to do different and change shit when it comes to the generation that we do. Like, clearly I don't want my daughter to experience the same things that I had to come up with, and then my dad experiencing way more shit than, like, it just progressively gets better. Like, I feel like that's my goal. That's the journey. Like, he lived a fucking an insane life, and for me it was tough. But when I look at it in retrospect, when I look at the shit that he had to go through and other people got to go through, even people who still where I'm from, like my family who's still where I'm from, they live in that shit all the time. I moved out, so like, I see things totally different in a lot of ways. But when I go back up there, I'm like, oh, this shit is visceral. It's like everything right back in your face, all type of crazy shit going on again. It's like they deal with this every day, and that shit can really trigger, like, you seeing all type of crazy shit. Like, you seeing niggas, you seeing bodies, you seeing people get killed, all that type of shit, drive-bys, all that stuff give you, like, I can see why niggas be like, that PTSD shit is real when it comes from those type of environments. You get what I'm saying? Like, for me, luckily, I ain't have to. I never felt like I had to deal with like any PTSD and no shit like that. Honestly, personally, but I feel like even seeing those situations, it was like, yo, that shit is wild. This is crazy. You see a drive by, you see a nigga get, say get killed, but like the aftermath of that shit, you see bodies getting carried out, you see all that type of shit. It's always wow, wow. Like, yo, is this real? Is this shit real life? Like, what's going on? So it's always a lot of shit. It's definitely a lot, but I feel like it just depends on how you process that shit. Like, if you look at everything and kind of from a wide frame in the sense of like, if I'm looking at all this shit, then yeah, it look like a lot. But when you going through it in that moment, and if you surrounded by a lot of shit that happened, like a lot of this shit be a normal Tuesday. If I tell you a story of something that happened, you be like, that shit is wild. But it's like, bro, for them, that's a Tuesday. That's a Wednesday. That shit that happened too. Like that shit just happened. Every time I talk to a family member from up there, they always tell me some crazy shit that happened. Like, yo, such and such, the house just got raided, blah, 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 such and such, doing this, drugs, blah, 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 such and such, beat this person up. Whatever the fuck it is, like, there's always some wild shit. Such and such pulled the guns, these niggas got the shooting, whatever. It's always around. It's always prevalent in those environments. So, like, being out of it is a blessing. I think that's definitely a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Being able to see different things and to have my daughter see different things is a blessing. So, that, honestly, that's all I can ask for. But all of that shit always have an effect. You know what I'm saying? It's irreversible, but it's always gonna be effective. You feel me?
So grandma dies from HIV. Where's daddy at?
Prison.
How did this affect your father?
So it's so crazy. They let Pops out actually for a couple of days, put him on a monitor so he could attend her funeral. He was about 3 years in his sentence. So like they either went to jail prison the same year or a year back to back off each other, basically, right? So, because he was in prison about 3 years that time. He went in 91. Yeah, he went in 91. She went in 91. So I think they went in the same year. So they let him out for that weekend. And he honestly, he probably was young thinking this shit, because even though the manslaughter charge, he got 3 years, they let him out. He was like, yo, if they let me out for the weekend, I feel like they probably let me out soon, but he still had another like 8 to do after that. So that was the time where they was letting niggas out, put him on the monitor, let him come to the funeral. But that really fucked him up, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I was saying, seeing everybody die in prison, like you there, seeing your mom die, shit probably do something totally different to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at that age, thinking of it, Pops was, shit, I didn't even really think about how old he was when she died, but he was like 19, 20, like when she died. And it's like, to be in prison for manslaughter, and your mom dying, she's in prison too from drugs and all this shit, she died, and you 20, you 19, 20, like, what the fuck, people out here just going through college, just figuring out their first year, freshman year, whatever, and ain't experienced nothing for real. And like, a lot of people, that's what I'm saying, a lot of people just have different lives. Like, shit ain't fair. I heard that growing up a lot. I tell my daughter that sometimes, like, life ain't fair, yo. Like, shit ain't fair. So, and I look at his life, I be like, man, that shit is just, he had a tough life, man. If my mom wasn't there, it'd have been, I could see a whole lot of goofy shit happening in my life, a whole lot of silly shit, like, for real. But it's about the influences you have in your life and around you. Your mom is out here on drugs, everybody around you on drugs, or they in the street. Like, what you gonna do?
Your dad's in prison. Your grandmama died from HIV/AIDS. You had a man. You had a father figure in your life, which was Uncle L, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about Uncle L.
Well, it was my pops. It was my pops, Reg. Shout out to Reggie. But my Uncle Al was he was definitely a very important figure in my life. Very important. Like, me and him will always kick it. That's my dad's brother. They're a couple years, apart. My dad is the oldest one. But Al, like, there's pictures of me, him, and Al when we was young. And I was young, and going to prison and visiting him and shit. Like, me and him was always tight. We was always close. We would always kick it, even when Pops was in prison. Whenever Al was out there, like he'd come out, come see me. We'd kick it. We'd do our thing. Like that was my dog. But like, you know, he ended up getting into some other shit too. Like he got, you know, I don't know, man. Like it's crazy because like I don't, you know, some of these stories I'm telling, I don't know if anybody get offended by none of this shit, but like, I feel like a lot of my dad's side of the family ain't even here no more. So like, I don't even know if they feel no way. But you know, with pops, I mean, my aunt, he he got poisoned.
Your uncle got poisoned? Who the fuck was he? The king of Egypt?
These niggas said the king of Egypt. Mm. Now, so really, it was you know, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of shit that's going on. But honestly, the whole thing behind it, pops was, I mean, my aunt was just, he was dealing, he got caught and hooked on them drugs, man. That's really what it was. He had made some bad decisions. Um, he made some bad decisions, and he
Oh,
ended
so
up
he got
getting
a
caught
bad
in.
batch. He got a bad batch
No,
on
no,
purpose?
no, 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 no. That's not what happened. He ended up getting caught up in a bad situation. I mean, really, the drugs made him do some old goofy, really crazy, silly, goofy shit. Like, all right, so just telling you. So I tell a little bit of it, just a little bit of that shit. Like I ain't trying to get too much into it, but like, you know,
Open up, my brother. Open up.
he basically, yeah, he him he basically ended up, him and another guy ended up, ended up killing a drug dealer. That's pretty much what happened. So they ended up killing the drug dealer, allegedly. Allegedly, they ended up killing the drug dealer allegedly. That was the speculation on the street. Um, you know, and he went on a run. I think the other dude got caught up. I'm not sure, but he ended up going on a run. And something happened. You know, there's a lot of different stories on how it actually happened, but you know, so I won't get into the specifics of how it happened or where it was at because it's conflicting shit about that. But like, you know, he ended up drinking, you know, and somebody put antifreeze in the shit, but they felt like it was a retaliation. Like we feel like it's 100% retaliation from, you know, that drug dealer shit that had happened earlier when he, you know.
Hold on. Antifreeze and what?
In his drink, in his alcohol, he was drinking like shit. Probably something like this, you know what I'm saying? Drinking something like this, they put antifreeze in it. He started seizing up out of his mouth, you know what I'm saying? Couldn't breathe and all that shit foaming up in his mouth. And like, you know, it was pretty much a wrap, you know.
So you mean to tell me that if I put, it couldn't be too much. It couldn't be like a whole grain cup. Your cup was like the color of your cup, and now I pass it to you. Now it's
Right.
green and glowing. It couldn't be like that, right? So
Right.
how the fuck does somebody poison somebody with antifreeze? I never understood that, bro.
I didn't get that shit either, dog. Especially in the drink, but I feel like it was probably a mixed drink, probably some old fruity ass drink. Put that green in it. It's like, oh, that shit ain't. They ain't even thinking about it in that moment. Like it's antifreeze and no shit. Maybe like I'm not even sure how it mixed in a drink. I ain't never tried no shit like that. But like maybe that shit mixed differently. But like or maybe nigga wasn't paying attention. He was already drinking. But like again, there's certain there's certain shit I ain't gonna say about it. But like there's reasons as to why he might have felt comfortable enough to drink that drink. That's all I say.
Right. Let me say this though. For somebody to intentionally poison you with antifreeze, bro, poison you with antifreeze. What type of motherfucker was that? What type of person was Uncle L?
He was a wild boy, man. I'm gonna be honest. He definitely was a wild boy. You know, my guy was like, he was, my pops is like 6'2", 6'3", 6'2". Uncle Al was about 6'5". You know what I'm saying? So like, there was always big dudes, like, or tall, big niggas, like, and always kind of been into like, the silly street shit. My pops was more of a stick up kid. You know, he robbing niggas, but Unc was more like he was more into drugs and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he was more of that. So like him, I got cousins. You know, it's the South, so a lot of family from different sides might fuck with each other. So some of my cousins on my mom's side grew up. My aunt did shit with him. You know, all type of stuff. Like, you know, and we got he got a son who my dog. You know, shout out to Mari, shout out to folks, shout out to family. Like he's related on both sides of my family. You know, his mom and my aunt, of course. You know, his mom is by people on my mom's side, and my aunt clearly is on my dad's side. So like, you know, it's shit like that. Like, it's connection still with the family. So like, Unc, he was a wild boy. He was on a run at the time of his murder, and you know, honestly, I feel like the antifreeze shit. I don't know if they felt like, you know, Unc is probably a nigga who probably had it on him. You know what I'm saying? He a big nigga, so you ain't gonna try to rumble with him. You know what I'm saying? So like, antifreeze shit might have been the easiest thing.
No, no, no. Let me say this, right? Antifreeze ain't the easiest thing, right? You know, the easiest thing is where I'm from. I'm from Chicago, right? The easiest thing
Shoot
is
a nigga
lead
with it.
poisoning, right?
Lead poisoning?
Of course, bullets are made out of lead. You know what I'm saying? So the easiest thing is
That's a
lead
fact.
poisoning. It's not antifreeze. Like,
That's
I
a
would
fact.
never think about that for one of my ops. You know what I'm saying? I would never do that to one of my ops. You know what I'm saying?
Poison a nigga.
Like, go ahead, bitch. Put the.
Antifreeze
I got
is
a 2 capfuls of any. A bitch did that, right?
There's a lot of speculation on a lot of things, man. I don't know. I don't know, man. You know, there's conflicting stories either way it goes. You know,
Come
where
on,
he was
brother.
at when this happened. Total different environments of where he was at in some of these stories.
These
so we don't really know.
niggas,
We
the
got our
niggas, the
speculation.
shit that you telling me, bro. You should write a fucking book. Fuck writing raps. Write a book.
Yo, he said, fuck that. Write a book. Yo, that shit be crazy. I think I was talking to my Uber driver one time and she said that same exact shit. Like, I was just driving from the airport one day, you know, one of the little talkative ones. I'm talking and she like, yo, you should write a book. And I was like, man, the way I look at it is like, I feel like so many people have difficult lives where we come from. Like, it's just like, most people could probably say some shit like that, but I guess when you think about, you know, certain things, these certain type of stories, maybe not everybody got this type of stuff going on, but like, I feel like a lot of people where we from had a lot of similar shit going on. It's just that they might not have had either the platform or the wherewithal or the people in their life to push them in the right direction. Like, you know, I never felt like I was smarter than niggas. Like, I felt like I just had a different focus, and I felt like my mom was somebody who pushed me to make sure she got us out of that, really. Because like, even when I was a kid, clearly I was a bad kid, but I wasn't like a following nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we with the friends and we doing some shit, I'm one of the niggas that's gonna be right there in the front. Because if I ain't want to do it, I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I've always been. So
that's because you motherfucking 6'2", 255, 60 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Just like your father and your fucking uncle, right? Come on, man. We gotta think deeper. We gotta dig just a little bit deeper. Your uncle was poisoned with antifreeze, probably by a bitch he was fucking. Right?
Man.
Come on, man. I never heard of that in Chicago. I never heard of that. Nigga, we got lead poisoning. Ain't no such thing as
drink
poison the nigga drink.
There ain't too, like I said, I don't think I can't get into too much about, you know, certain shit, because like, just the people, but like, yeah, man. I mean, you know, everybody got their own speculation, man. Like, that's the way I put it. Everybody got their own speculation. I can't really talk too much about that one, but like, everybody got their own speculation. I ain't saying you right or wrong, but I can understand your logic when it comes to that type of shit too. I get it, like you why you would think that might be the case, but I ain't discounting or confirming. I ain't doing neither one.
Uncle
hmm
L died. How did that make you feel?
That was like probably my first funeral. Like that was the at that point, up until that point, that was the hardest death I had had. My grandma, she died, but like I didn't know her. You know what I'm saying? So I really felt more empathy and shit to her as I got older. When it was like, damn, like I really want to know who she was more. Back in the day, it was less of that, but like it was more the people who was there for you, like or at that moment. So my aunt, with this crazy shit, when that happened, my dad had got out of prison the first time, and he was out for like a month. But when he got out, my aunt was on the run for the alleged, murder or whatever already. So he was on the run. So they never got the link. So a month after Pops got out, he ended up getting poisoned. But the autopsy report showed, antifreeze in the system. Like again, one of the stories we heard about it, it makes way more sense than some of the other ones, like I said, but because of the people involved or, whatever, we can't get too much into that. But like, you know, when you hear it, when you listen to it and you go through your mind, like, hey man, follow whatever path you thinking, follow your heart, my nigga. That's how I feel about that shit. Like without saying too much, follow your heart on that. As far as however you feel, like everybody had their own speculation. Like honestly, I mean, I wasn't there at the end of the day. We got our own speculation on our side, but just from everything that we heard and everything that's going on, like the facts that came back or the stories that came back, and just that we concluded our own shit based off of whatever. So we don't know. God know.
Do you feel like the names that the hood said, do you feel like the names that the underground said had something to do with your uncle's death?
Hmm. I think they know more. I think they know more than what they're saying. You know. I think they know if they didn't, they know who did it. You know. That's what I think personally. If they didn't, they know they know what really happened, and they covering up some shit probably. Like, so for whoever involved in whatever story I believe, you know, I don't think they being total 100%. I think there's some shit they covering up. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like based off of everything it was that was 100% retaliation. 100 fucking percent. Like ain't nothing you can say to convince me that it ain't 100%. Ain't nothing you can say to convince my family and anybody who know this story that ain't 100%. Like my mom and my dad's side. Like so that shit ain't. Yeah, they know they. Yeah, they probably had something to do with it or covering some shit up. So that's neither here nor there though. We'll leave that where it's at. But